Hello, fellow translators. I don't like this angle at all. Anyway, hopefully it works. And hopefully this, because the headphones, hopefully they work, because a certain wife of mine took my headphones, but I think these work fine because it's not like I have a very good microphone anyway. But anyway, let's get to the video today that I want to talk to you about. So this is something that actually was asked to me by someone. I think it was by Norm, who's asked me a couple questions, and so it's something I wanted to address here because I've been thinking about it a bit more. And basically, he asked, I don't have the exact question here, but he was asking if it's okay to let another translator edit your work. Like if you're not sure about your translation, if it's okay to allow another editor to translate it. So basically, the short answer is yes, and the long answer is maybe, because so that's why I wanted to get into it. So first of all, if you have another translator editing your work, then maybe you're translating the wrong type of work. Like if you don't usually do medical and suddenly have a medical translation for some reason and you need another translator to go over it, then maybe it's a sign that in the future you shouldn't be doing medical translations, which you shouldn't be doing unless you know about medical stuff, because that can get very specialized and technical. But I can also understand how when you're first starting out, you feel a bit unsure about yourself. And so, you really just kind of want someone else to look over what you do. And I know I definitely had that when I was first starting out. And so, yeah, having someone else look over it can always help. But there are a couple of caveats that I thought I should mention just in case, because I don't want to say, oh, it's always okay if you have issues with a translation just to send it off to someone else, because there are several issues that should be addressed. First of all, if you signed an NDA, any type of NDA with your client, the person that you're doing the translation for, then there could be issues, because that means that NDA is a non-disclosure agreement. You're not supposed to disclose anything that you're working on. That includes the document you're working on. And you shouldn't be sharing that. So if there's any type of confidentiality agreement or anything like that, then you can start having issues. Likewise, so ideally, what you could do, like there is no confidentiality issue. Maybe it's just some easy translation they need done, or some marketing material or whatever it is. And ideally, you can just have whoever works on it. They don't need to sign an NDA or anything, but just say with the understanding, like this is all private or something like that. That you can add to the email. Say in their agreement, say you agree that everything here is confidential. Blah blah blah. Something easy, but that they can agree to in writing, like in the email. And that way you're covered no matter what. For the most part, though, if it's just something to look over, it could be very easy. Like if it's a contract, you could just do a find and replace and just take out all the names, all the sensitive information. That way they can just look over it without having to see the sensitive information. Anyway, there are various ways to do this so that you can have someone look over it while you work on it. And so, yeah, you just need to keep in mind, though, that confidentiality and that aspect of the whole job. The other thing you need to keep in mind, obviously, is payment. If you're getting paid X amount and then you have to pay someone else Y amount to read over your stuff, then you kind of need to see what your profit is going to be and if it's worth it. Once again, if it's once or twice because you feel insecure about your jobs at the beginning, then that's fine. Even if you kind of just break even or whatever, because because it'll help you in the future to go along. But if you're kind of making a habit of it, then you should start looking at the payment and the cash flow, because it might not be worth it to do it all the time. And by and large, yeah, I think if it's a temporary thing once or twice here or there, then fine. But if it's a permanent thing, then maybe you should be looking into changing your specialty. Maybe this line isn't good for your abilities. Maybe if you concentrate more on legal translations, you should just do that and not veer off into things you're not sure about. Or B, work more on your translation and become better at it, so you don't need to always have someone look over it. Having said that, now, I did, if you saw, I think it would be my previous video where I talked about you can work in with a partner and all that. That's a bit different, because there you can always have a partner look over what you do, and it's understood that you're a team working together. That's different. But here it would mean just paying a different translator to look over your work and kind of edit it just to make sure. And so that's more or less my thoughts on it. Again, I think at the end of the day, you're the one who has to hand it to the client, and so you need to be sure of what you do. If the other one, by the way, if you hire an editor to look over your work, then you need to pay the editor for their work. It's not contingent upon the client paying you. It's the same thing like when you work with an agency. Like your contract will be with that editor and that's it. They don't have a contract with anyone else. And so, that's a separate thing and you need to treat it separately. I thought I just mentioned it because every now and then there's confusion along those lines. But yeah, that's basically my feeling about it. I think it can help once or twice if you're feeling a bit insecure to kind of make sure that everything's okay. And I did something similar to that. When I was first starting out, I remember I was very insecure about this one file. And so, yeah, I sent it to an editor. What I did the thing where you take out any confidential information. It wasn't a confidential file. I actually don't remember what the file was at all right now. I think it was just like an article, to be translated, like an article that was on the web that someone wanted translated in a different language. So anyway, but I still kind of didn't say where it was. Like I took out the company names and stuff there, even though it was a publicly available article. I think I was just paranoid, and that's why I did it. But anyway, I sent it to have someone edit it and look over it, and I said, I was like, this is just to make sure it's okay. Like you don't feel the need to make it all flowery, but if you find mistakes, please let me know. And in the end, he didn't really he found one or two things, and he's like, but by and large, it's fine. And I remember that made me feel better. I'm like, okay, I do know what I'm doing. So yeah, I do think it can help at the beginning, but definitely don't make a habit out of it. You should be able to be your translator and editor. TEP, as they call it, translating, editing, proofreading. I think a good translator should be able to do all of them. And you'll find your system. I've mentioned my system before, how I translate it, step back, and maybe the next day kind of read over it with fresh eyes and do all that. But yeah, you should find your own system so you can do all of that yourself, and you don't always need to work with an editor. Anyway, I hope that helped. I hope you found that useful, and I hope these headphones work. Because I probably should have tested them ahead of time, but I think it'll be fine. And then, so yeah, otherwise I will see you in the next video, and I will talk to you next time. Okay, thanks. Savedum.